you've been following my channel for some time, or perhaps if you watched some of my previous videos, you will know that a topic that I like to talk about and discuss is shopping. For example, I've talked about how to identify a shopping addiction and how my buying habits have changed over time. Just to disclaim, I have not had any professional help with diagnosing or overcoming a shopping addiction, but the urge to shop and overspending have definitely had an impact on my life. So the title of this video is true to me, and I want my channel to be a space where I can talk openly about my journey from being a fast fashion consumer to becoming a more mindful and slow, conscious consumer. And that is basically why I started my channel and what Louise Wears is all about. It's an outlet for me to share with you my thoughts and my struggles, but also hopefully inspire others to become more mindful in their consumption. So if you can relate to that, then I have summarized some of my best tips on basically how to limit your spending. And it's not just about basic things like setting a budget or taking 24 hours to think about it. These are more like practical steps that I have taken to really limit my spending as much as possible. But before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Louise, and I talk about how to engage with fashion in more conscious and sustainable ways. My first piece of advice is to uninstall all of the shopping apps on your phone, and this was really a game changer for me personally because I used to have all of the apps, and whenever I was bored I would go on my phone, as one does, and I would just go onto app after app and scroll until I found something that I wanted to buy, add things to my cart, and then eventually just adding more and more stuff to a wish list that really wouldn't exist if I hadn't been scrolling in the first time. This is a whole nother discussion, but I feel like my phone does take up a lot of my time. It's very mindless, the way that I use my phone. I have caught myself just like running down the stairs in the house that I live, and I need to grab my phone and look at something whilst I'm doing that, or I'm waiting for the bus and I need to check my phone. This mindless way of interacting with my phone also makes it quite impulsive when I have these shopping apps on my phone because it's so easy to consume without thinking twice. What I did was I removed all of the apps, and now whenever I want to shop, I actually log onto my computer and I enter the name of the store or the brand into the browser, and then I go from there and I look at what they have. So it's much more of a conscious choice to go onto my computer and do it rather than just like mindlessly opening an app and scrolling. That is one tip. Remove the app. It makes it a lot harder to shop. My next piece of advice is to unsubscribe to all of the emails. I know that this may sound obvious, but it's so easy these days to enter your email onto a lot of different sites. Maybe they have one of these, oh, enter your email and you'll get a 10% discount. And then you enter it because you feel like, oh, this might come in handy later. And then eventually you're going to end up with so many promotional emails in your inbox, and you're going to be tricked into thinking that you're saving money or you're getting a lot of great deals when actually it's encouraging you to spend money that you weren't planning on spending in the first time. When you get the email, I know that it can be hard to trace back every single newsletter that you're subscribed to. So what I do is that every time I get the email into my inbox, I just hit the unsubscribe, and then eventually they will all be gone. I'm still getting some of them because there has just been so many for me, but I hope and I wish one day that my inbox will be empty of those promotional emails because it's so much more peaceful, and I will know that once I do shop, I've actually went to that store or that brand to buy something from them because I like them or I like their product, not just because they're having like an end of season sale. The next one is to buy upfront, and this one is a little bit easier said than done because I know not everyone can afford to pay everything up front. I think it depends on what you're buying, but for me, I made a personal rule. I have told myself that if I can't afford the thing I want today, I'm not buying it. Paying upfront means that I need to shop within my means, so I'm never overspending or tricking my mind into thinking that I have more money than I actually have. And it's also more encouraging and more satisfying when I do buy something, because that way I know that, oh, it took me this amount of time to save up for that thing that I really wanted. And it gives me a feeling of, oh yes, I made it, I saved this money, I feel good about it, it's worth it. Or maybe sometimes it takes too much time for me, or feels like a ridiculous amount of money to spend on one thing after having saved for months. And that can also make me take a step back and realize that actually there are other things that I may want to spend this money on. So I think that paying up front when you can is a good option to try and spend less. My next piece of advice is to unsave your card details from your browser. I'm not sure that everyone does this, but I did have my card details saved in my browser. These days, it's just so easy to select autofill and just click, like within seconds you're done and the order confirmation is there. But if you have to manually fill in all of the details, then it's gonna give you just like a teeny amount of extra time to really debate whether or not your purchase is worth it. My next piece of advice is probably the most powerful and most effective thing that I have done, which has really changed my spending, and that is disclosing all of my shopping to someone else. So in my case, it's been my boyfriend who really keeps me grounded when it comes to shopping. And even if it's a small purchase, telling someone else about what you're intending to buy or what you have bought, it makes it all feel so much more real. It may also make you feel a little bit embarrassed about how much you are shopping. When you say it out loud, you will realize how much you actually shop. And it's not about feeling guilty or feeling shame about your shopping habit. It's about accountability, because when you shop in secret, it's easy to spiral because you think that no one can see me. It's only me who knows that I'm spending this amount of money. But when you have to tell someone else and share this information, you feel quite naked and exposed. And this is probably the best way for me personally to really work on my shopping addiction, because no matter if my boyfriend calls me out and says, Louise, you definitely don't need to buy that, or he says, yeah, that's cute, you should get it, it makes me think about my shopping in a more objective way. This next one is maybe a little bit extreme, but in a worst case scenario, you can also block certain websites. You know how there is like parental features on your laptop or your phone? You can block shopping pages as well. If you're constantly, and I think that this is particularly effective if you're constantly opening these sites out of habit and you're not even thinking about it. That little barrier might just be the best thing for you to really take a pause and reflect on why it is that you're visiting these sites. My final piece of advice is very obvious, or I don't know, a little bit stupid maybe, but it's finding a hobby or a distraction that will take up so much of your time that you won't have time to shop. When shopping becomes a problem for me is when I shop out of boredom or to comfort myself. So in that scenario, I found a replacement. So in my case, it's been to go work out or read a book. And these are two very different activities, but both of them require my full attention. Like I can't be scrolling on my phone when I'm working out, and I can't be scrolling my phone when I'm reading. So it's two activities that I can do for hours and I won't be thinking about shopping during that time. It sounds simple, but finding something else that requires your full concentration will really change your mind about shopping. For me, reading has been very, very enjoyable, and reading has also been a wake-up call for me because I've realized, wow, I can read not an entire book maybe, but like a few chapters in the time that I otherwise would have spent just like scrolling through clothes. And it's not about productivity, but it gives me more joy, and I feel like it just makes me feel better about myself than shopping does. So whatever the activity may be for you, I encourage you to find something that will make you happy and serve a purpose in your life. That it doesn't need to be something where you necessarily produce something. It can be something that you just enjoy. With all this said, I'm not perfect. As mentioned in the beginning, I still struggle with this a lot, and I don't think that I would have been able to make this video or even this list if I did not still have these struggles. Making these changes to my habits and my routine are a huge help to me, and I hope maybe it can help you as well. If you've ever felt out of control with your shopping, then maybe try one of these tips, or let me know if you have any other tips that you would like me to discuss or maybe talk about in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, you can give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, or you can also follow me on TikTok or Instagram at Louise Wears. I make new videos every single Sunday, so I wish you the best week ahead, and I will see you again next time. Bye!